What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today. We're trying this one more time because the first time it did not go so well. If you're still here, we appreciate that you're hanging with us. We're sorry the show is so late. This would be probably the first time it's ever been that late. So, anyways, thanks for stopping by. We're going to get right into the show since it is late. We got a couple of funny comments. Let's see here. I want to pull it up. Hold on one second. There we go. NYJ today took care of the tech guy. Yeah, he is dead. I killed
She
him.
left him in Disney.
He
I
is
like that one.
never coming back. So rest assured. Let's see. Should have left him at Disney World. I was at Disney World. You probably should have left me there. That clearly I had too many Mickey bars while I was there. John, get your daughter. She'll fix it. A couple of good ones in there. And then, so I added as well that the tech guy's a real asshole. Anyway, that was me. And it just shows you that karma is a real thing because I created a poll before the show and I said, who's the weakest link on the channel? It's me. It's me tonight. That's for sure. All right. Anyways, it is great to be with you guys. There's a lot to talk about. We got a lot of Jets stuff going on. Preseason game 1 was a lot of fun. Some people may have watched that game, been a little bit bored or whatever. Who knows? But I thought it was a great game. And there was a lot of things. I texted James and you after the game, and I just said I thought there were a lot of takeaways, even though it was a 12-7 game. It's legal in Florida. They probably ought to be because it would probably improve the crime, I would think. If they just let everybody do drugs, everything would be okay, I think. I think that you guys are arranged shortest to tallest. Actually, Mike would probably be the tallest. James, how tall are you?
I'm like 5. I say I'm 5'10", so I'm like 5'9" and a half.
I'm the shortest then. James is the middle, and Mike is actually the tallest.
There we go.
There you go. Little mix of the height. Yeah, so the game was interesting. Let's get to our mailbag because that is something that we do now. So if you don't know, every week I'm going to send out a tweet. I'm also going to put it on the community tab on this channel. So if you want to have your, questions or takes on the show, we're going to do that at the beginning of every show. So where are they? There they are. Here's the first one. And the first one says, the question I was going to drop and is interested in seeing other viewpoints is, what Jets generation has had it worse? The one that was able to see the Jets win a Super Bowl and haven't seen them return in so long? Or is it the generation like us that has never seen them in the Super Bowl and have only seen them struggle? I thought that was kind of an interesting.
Us, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
It's us, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We might not. Me and you have talked about it, John. I don't know, James. Like, do you ever have nightmares where you would see the glass half empty and you're just like, what if I never see them win a Super Bowl? Like,
all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very depressing thought. Like, it really bums me out. So, I mean, I don't even want to think about that. The only second question that comes is if the team wasn't around. That would be just a notch lower than never seeing them win a Super Bowl, like in terms of fear and anxiety and how much of a sad and depressing thing that would be. Yeah. Not to have a team anymore, that would be horrible.
Okay, yeah, for them to leave. Yeah, there's really a lot to do.
I think that's the question, which is what is worse, never seeing them win a Super Bowl and having the team, or them winning the Super Bowl and then not having the team. Let's just say in a fictional universe.
That's not.
I know that's not what he's saying, but I'm saying that's the worst. That's a worse question.
Regardless, it's a. I think we all agree it's way worse to live without ever having seen your team in a Super Bowl, regardless of how long it was in between the last time you watched them. So anyway, we'll move on. Thank you for submitting the question. This is a chat from Vern. He said the pick of Zach and Rodgers is taking over the internet. It is a really cool picture if you haven't seen it. They're basically just like bro-fiving, and it's pretty cool. Rodgers, and a lot of people comp Zach Wilson's game to Aaron Rodgers, so pretty cool. And it was awesome that he got to talk to him today. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The second one, here it is. We are down to one kicker. Any chance on getting Jose Borregales? James, I'll let you go there.
I don't know. And remind me, what team is that? What team is he on?
Bucks.
He's on the Bucks, right? And they have
Ryan Suckup, who they just re-signed.
Ryan Suckup, who they just re-signed. I mean, it's possible, right? Teams aren't probably going to keep two kickers there, so it's very possible. I think we're going to see a wave, not really just kickers too, but position players all over that teams have to cut some guys. Mm-hmm. And there's that second wave of free agency. So, yeah, I do think it's a possibility that with Suckup being signed, that we do pick up a kicker here. We kind of need to.
Yeah, there were people. Sure. Well, we will hit on that question again. Like, we will talk about the needs for the team right now because we are going to go through all the position groups. I think that's one of the biggest needs on the team right now. And I know that sounds crazy, but you can't go anywhere in the NFL without good kicking. And I just feel like you're not going to go to the Super Bowl. You're not going to go to the playoffs. You're not going to win in the playoffs if you don't have a competent kicker. So anyway, thank you for submitting the question. I think there is a good chance, I think he could get, if he goes to the practice squad, the Jets, I think, would scoop him up. I don't think there's any doubt. So we'll see. Let's go to the next one. Hot take from Football Wins 32. Thank you for submitting. He says, Quinnen Williams will reach 10 sacks in 2021 if he stays healthy, and the Jets defense will be above average because of the pass rush. Mike, what are your thoughts on that? The pass rush making this defense at minimum above average.
Oh, absolutely. I think they have a real. I think our offensive line, I think, still has some maturity to do based on what I saw. I think they did good in the Giants game, but I think they have some growing to do. Obviously, you saw a couple of plays where I think some of the pass protection or run protection broke down a little bit, maybe prematurely. But on the D line, I mean, it was so refreshing. I mean, I thought they played exactly how I wanted them to play, which was fast, full energy, and that D line is going to eat this year. They're going to eat. They're going to eat good.
It seems legitimately like the strength of the team without question.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that, James. Do you think it's the strength of the team overall? Has to be, right?
Yeah, it has to be. They're going to be a top 10 unit by the end of the season, the defensive line. They just are. I mean, you saw what they did to the Giants, and I know the Giants fans were kind of, saying we only played X amount of starters, whatever. Right. Either way you slice it, they just looked super fast, and it didn't have probably the best player that is within that room in Quinnen Williams, in my opinion. Yeah. I think Carl Lawson will reach that, but I do think Quinnen Williams is the best player in that entire unit. And so you just see the depth too. I mean, these guys are going to be able to be fresh. Vinny Curry wasn't there. JFM is going to be good. Bryce Huff, he's going to get a ton of snaps in passing downs. On third downs.
We're breaking the D line down. We're breaking it down.
Yeah,
that's going to be the first thing we talk about.
Yeah. So I won't say any more there, but yes, top 10 unit. They're going to make the defense a lot better.
Yes. All right, we'll go to the next one. Thank you for submitting that. This is from Darren. This is 2 weeks in a row from Darren, so double thank you, Darren. Appreciate you sending in another one. This was an interesting question. Which player that's on the roster bubble impressed you the most? And then maybe a player that's on the roster bubble but did not impress.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Good one. This is probably the best question of the mailbag. So, James, why don't you go first, and then Mike, you can go second.
So I'll go with someone who didn't really impress me. Actually, I don't want to say it's kind of a whole group, but the tight end group overall, yes. they had a rough day on Saturday. So Daniel Brown, I guess you can put him in that roster bubble category. Kind of with they have Ryan Griffin, right? I believe he's still here. Mm-hmm. Tyler Kroft. Chris Herndon. So you think about that fourth tight end because they're going to probably keep Trayvon Wesco for that fullback spot. So I think, a Daniel Brown, probably roster bubble type of player. Tight ends didn't impress me all that much. And a guy that I'm going to say impressed me that I don't want to say he's on the roster bubble, but because I think he's going to make it. But you got to put those later round rookies kind of in the roster bubble aspect because they're later round. There's
I
not
know where
that
you're
much
going with this
investment.
one.
No, I don't know. I'm gonna go back to Brandon Eccles.
Oh, okay. I was wrong.
I thought he
Yeah.
was pretty impressive. He had the pass interference call on him, but that to me, we're going to see pass interference in the NFL all the time. It's just going to be what the NFL today is. But he came back with a huge pass breakup, and with how thin the room is veteran-wise, I think he gave himself a really good chance to not only make the team but end up with some playing times in certain situations.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, hit it up. Bubble player that didn't do well, bubble player that did not.
But the tight ends, in terms of who did not, the tight ends had a bad day. I mean, just between Herndon's lack of being present and then the fumble, which led to the Giants score. I want to say that led to
fumbled. Yep.
That was a rough day. I mean, I don't think it seals the fate of either of those two in terms of what they do for the season, but it was just. I mean, I was already tagging them as one of our weak points going into the season, and it's just bad when your worst case situation actually comes into light, and hopefully we have nowhere to go but up on the Titans. But the Titans would definitely be at the top of my list. I thought that I actually thought that the defensive backs did good. I mean, I obviously I saw the same comments coming out of the Giant fan base, which was Kadarius Toney didn't play. A number of different offensive tools didn't play, but I still think for as young as that squad was, I thought obviously Bryce held it down. I think they only played like 2 snaps. James, back me up on that. How many snaps did Bryce play at the start of the game?
Yeah, he played a few, not all that much, no.
Yeah, but Brandon Eccles did good. Who's the other? Jackson. I thought Jackson held it down. No, I mean he threw the penalty, but I didn't think it was. I think they only let up a couple passes.
He let up a bomb. He's actually
but I don't know if I get. I don't. But you can't just take that one play, though. I mean, I don't fault you for saying that, but he is on the bubble. But let me go to my one who was on the bubble for me that I thought did great was Vincent Smith. I thought Vincent Smith had a great day, and I thought he wasn't going to make the roster. So I mean. That just tells you how OTAs are important and mini camps are important, but these players can turn around on any given day, any given Sunday, to quote Al Pacino. So, I just think that was a surprise thing. I would say another disappointment was who's the defensive tackle? Zuniga?
Defensive end.
Yeah. I thought just because, I think we drafted him 2020, 3rd round, and we're still not seeing that production out of him. So I would say I don't think he's on the roster bubble necessarily, but he's definitely fallen down the depth chart. So I just think that, brings up old anxieties of some of our draft picks when you see that lack of production there. So, yeah.
I'm with you. That's a fair take to say that because he hasn't produced and now it's year 2, you just start to get that little bit of like a worry. So my 2 guys were Vincent Smith, who surprised me and did well, I thought. I don't see it. He might actually have a chance to overtake Berrios. I don't know what kind of, expectation there is to make the roster. If they're competing, the Jets might have a hard time making a choice between the 2 of them. I think Vincent Smith has been playing with the starters in some reps. So there's a really good shot, I think, that he ends up making the team over Berrios. That's my take right now. And then Lamar Jackson, he's just wasn't drafted. And again, it's only one play, like Mike said, but letting up that big ball, not a good look. And he's getting burnt. We saw him get burnt last year by Ruggs in that awful situation. Don't get me wrong. But anyway, he's on the bubble, and letting up a big play is not a good thing for bubble guys. So, and then the last mailbag is just a joke. Nate said, hot take, the Jets will add an interior defensive lineman before week 2. He is joking. He is referring to Mike McCagnon era. Anyway, that's the end of the mailbag. If you didn't send a mailbag in this week, please consider doing so next week. We would love to have funny ones. We would love to have, questions, anything that you guys want to talk about to start the show. That's what it's all about. All right. We're going to start with our chat. And by the way, chat, I'm not ignoring you. I know you're there. We're going to go to next segment because the mailbag, it deserves its own, its own moment, So anyways, we're going to do episode 2 of One Jets Drive. I have the soundbite of one of the sound bites of Elijah Moore. And I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to let Elijah Moore talk for about 1:40. Will I? Maybe? Let's see. Can you hear that? Oh, it's because my sound's off. Goofy me. Here we go.
I want to be successful this season. I want to be successful this season. But, like, I definitely have enough, humility to know that you're always learning. When I'm a 10-year vet and I'm the number 1 receiver in the NFL, I feel like I'm still going to be learning, from everyone. When they tell me something, I listen. When Zach tell me something, I listen. When someone on the street tells me something, I'm going to listen. You see what I'm saying? I'm just always very receptive to everything because nobody's perfect. You could always be in a position to where, you could learn and you could have did this. Even when you win, you could have won a better way, so just always being that type of person. I have a lot of humility. My grandmother, my grandfather on both sides, they don't get enough credit. I was just telling them yesterday, I went to go see them yesterday that, even when I was probably the kid growing up, that they was like, I'm gonna have to worry about him. Like, I feel like, like me connecting with God, me just listening to them, they probably didn't think I was listening. And like, I focus so much, I pay attention. I'm so attention to detail about everything that, like, I heard everything they was saying, and I'm just grateful for the person I am and how I think and how I just want to get everybody better. Like, you get around people and if I could ask them, you want to be the best? Everybody's like, I don't really care to be the best. I just want to, like, make my money, live a good life, and that's it. Like, I want to be the best. I want everybody around me to be like, I want to be number 1. Because that's going to bring out the best in me, the best out of you. You know what I'm saying? I want to be the person that tell me once, I'm going to get it done. And just be that person to where he don't got to worry about me. A lot is out there, we good. All right, now we got to focus on somebody else. I'm not looking at myself as a rookie. It's just, I'm a little younger than y'all, but I pick up on things fast. So, I guess that Kobe mentality, the Michael Jordan mentality, they're a little crazy for a reason. I just want to follow that.
There it is. I loved all of what he was saying. I mean, I tweeted it out and he retweeted it. So Elijah Moore himself retweeted me, like, sharing that.
Cool.
It's incredible. I don't know. Like, if I were an athlete, and I'm not, don't get me wrong. If I were an athlete, though, the mentality that he has and the approach that he has is just so awesome. And I could see connecting with a guy like that. Again, would never imagine being as good as he is at football. My point is that his mentality is just incredible, though. Any takeaways you want to share from that, Mike? I'll let you go first, just real quick.
I just think it just shows you that we have players, regardless of what they're getting paid, they're hungry. They're hungry to be bigger than a paycheck, to be bigger than just having security on a team or in a career. And that's what you want. You want a player who wants infamy. And when you have a player like that, it doesn't matter if they were undrafted or drafted in the first round. They're going to find a way to be successful. And I think there's a lot of good examples of that. And those are the same examples that will be in the history book. So if Elijah continues down that path and he doesn't get sidetracked or satisfied, there's no reason why he can't be one of those greats that he mentioned.
There you go. Very well said. James, got anything?
Yeah, I like that he said, when Zach says something, I'm going to listen. When someone on the street says something, I'm going to listen because nobody's perfect. That means he's all ears all the time.
Yep.
You never know what you're going to get out of somebody if you just pay attention to what they have to say, because when you're that high up, then sometimes maybe you are putting some other people down because you think that you're ultimately better than them because of the position that you're in, when realistically there might be someone out there that says something that can really, flip a switch for you. So it's really cool because to be, have that attention to detail and to have those open ears, I think for someone in his spot is a really good trait and gets me excited about, the player that he might become.
You can learn something from anybody.
Anybody.
I believe that very strongly. And him saying that, and just again, like, his drive is obvious. Like, he really, really wants to be good. It's not just that he's saying it. You can see it when you watch him talking about it. His eyes are intense, like his face is focused, like he's just a very serious dude. And I was blown away by it. But he's my new favorite Jet. Just a quick update. And I'm actually being serious. He legitimately might be my favorite player on the team. He is potentially a star on the offense, and we just haven't had that for so long. So anyway, I wanted to share that because he's my dude. So we'll move on. And we are getting to that offensive line, defensive line discussion now. The Giants game, I thought Mike hit on it earlier. He said the offensive line kind of tailed off a little bit with the run blocking. The run blocking, the holes weren't really opening. Pass protection seemed to be pretty okay all night long, I thought.
Agreed.
And then we hear the reports from today at the Jets versus Packers scrimmage, and people have been talking about it in the chat about all the sacking that, Zach took. So Zach got sacked 7 times apparently in the scrimmage today versus the Packers. That's way, way too many. Just a quick heads up on everybody.
Yeah.
I think if you allow 2 in a game, you're probably like, okay, that was good enough to win. Like we didn't let up more that would have potentially impacted our ability to execute on offense. More than like 4 is really bad, I would say, right? Like more than 4 sacks allowed in any game is really bad. So,
agreed.
Anyways,
wait. Can I?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to give context, right? I mean, when Sanchez took 4 sacks a game, I wouldn't put that on the line necessarily, right? I mean, we got to. You're talking true breakdowns in line activity. Is that a fair assessment?
I would say so. They have Zadarius Smith. They have Preston Smith on the edges.
Yeah.
They have the defensive lineman in the middle. Is it Kenny Clark?
Yes.
So they're strong up front, and they are also a Super Bowl contending team, legitimately Super Bowl contending team. They were one possession away this past season. So I want to hear what you guys have to say, and I would like to get the chat involved. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. Throw it down in there. Does this make you concerned? Are you not sweating it? And let me know what you guys think about the Giants game as well, like how you thought they did. James, you can go first. Thoughts on the pressure given up in the Giants game compared to maybe what we saw in scrimmage today?
Yeah, so in the Giants game, I thought Becton played well, and I thought Morgan Moses played well. You can definitely tell the difference of when they ran to the left and to the right on the outside from when they ran straight up the middle. There was kind of nothing going on there. I think the immediate concern is the left guard spot, and just the concern is we need Elijah Vera-Tucker in there for at least the Carolina game. For him to come, if he doesn't make it back in preseason, fine. But Dan Feeney did not have a very good day at the left guard spot. I did think Greg Van Roten played decently well, and Connor McGovern, I think he's going to be fine. But you could tell that left side, those runs up the middle, it just wasn't there. And that's okay for now. But as the game went on, you kind of saw that, the holes kind of stopped. One of them comes to mind. I think it was a LaMichael Pirine run that ended up bringing them out of field goal position later in the game.
Yeah.
I think he lost it felt like he lost 9 yards something ridiculous.
He lost 8 yards on that play.
8 yards,
it was
right.
8 yards.
Yeah, and they wound up punting and, takes you out of field goal range, stuff like that can't happen. Pass protection, I thought was pretty good. I thought really the biggest aspect of the pass protection came from a lack of running back blocking on Saturday's game from against the Giants. So, some things to clean up there. In terms of, can I touch quick on the Packers? Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not like a super optimist, but for some reason I'm not sweating whatsoever over today. Like I feel like every time I check Twitter and the Jets are practicing, like the sky's falling because everything's not perfect, and it's not supposed to be perfect. You kind of, John, you said it before. The Packers and the Jets are on 2 different spectrums. That's kind of where I know we had a question last time about whether or not we should temper expectations for Zach. maybe this kind of tempers our expectations for the Jets a little bit, because you kind of see one team has everything, their entire offense installed. They've been doing this. Aaron Rodgers is at the helm. Matt LaFleur's been running the system now for 2 years. And they're not one of the youngest teams in the NFL. The Jets are. And that's from coaching staff down to the players. So I wouldn't get too worried about it right now. You know, tomorrow's a new day. Saleh said it after the Giants game. Take a look at the film. Take what you can from it. Get better. They're going to do that whether or not it's a game or it's practice. And so I feel pretty good about the leadership that's in place over there. So right now, I'm sure they're going through the film and some guys are getting chewed out for their performances today, and it'll carry over into a better day tomorrow.
Nice. I was just going to say, kind of reminds me of when colleges script, they have the, at the beginning of the college season, they schedule a softie, a cupcake, and they crush them. It kind of reminds me of that. It kind of reminds me like the Jets probably called the Packers like, "Hey, will you scrimmage with us, please?" And the Packers are like, "Sure, we'll scrimmage with you." So I'm not worried about the Packers thing. I agree with you. It is concerning to see that he's getting, or that he would be potentially getting sacked in a game. That part worries me. Like if this were a game, he'd be getting hit. But it is just practice. We don't play the Packers every week, thank God. And they truly are elite. Like I want to make sure everybody understands that they are top 2 in their conference right now, based on last year. So, all right, perfect. There was going to be one more thing I was going to say. What was it? Shoot, I can't remember. I'll skip it for now. Maybe I'll remember. Defensive lines. We can talk about them now, finally. So it's interesting to me because apparently Lawson had a great scrimmage as well today. And we saw him have, a rush in the Giants game. He didn't play a lot of snaps at all. I think he was in for maybe a drive or two. You saw that he was able to get in the backfield and nearly sacked Glennon. You know that he's been doing very well against the Jets and Becton. So now he's carrying it over to other teams, which we want to see. I think Carl Lawson unlocks Quinnen Williams even more. We've talked about that all off season. Just talk about what you saw in the Giants game. Mike, I'll let you go first. What did you see from our defensive line? Players that caught your eye, that kind of stuff.
Just dominance, man. I mean, I think that's probably if I had to sum it up, you could just tell that they were a league above what the Giants had to go against them on the offensive line for them. It's just the speed they have, the youth that they have. I think the defensive play calling for them is perfect for the scheme they're running. I just felt like it really felt like that group with the new pieces that we had, we were just gelling from the beginning. And I guess, it's unfortunate to see the offensive line kind of going through very kind of recent changes and issues. Obviously, Cameron Clark, and then the retirement of Alex Lewis. And then we have Barrett Tucker trying to come over stuff, and then we had the anxiety about where Becton was. I really think that the offensive line can get into the same top tier as the D line is, but the D line is they're just clicking on all cylinders, and it's great because we really need that to be our anchor for the rest of the season. If we really want to put there in an average season, that D line they're going to be our Sherpa, and they're the ones going to get us up Mount Everest. I mean, Carl Lawson made such an impact on what was it? He was in there for what, like a series?
A couple of plays, honestly.
Yeah. It was just, I mean, to know that's the very tip of the iceberg of what we're going to see in a regular season. I think that just gets me all giddy. We haven't, Quinnen Williams we haven't seen him come back on the field because I don't think, did he play a snap? I can't even remember if he played a snap. I don't think he did, right? Yeah.
Finally got pads on.
Right.
So he's kind of in the same shoes as AVT. They're bringing them along slowly.
Yeah. And then the depth. Guys, that's the thing. Obviously we got superstars on the D line, but it's the depth that we have. Even if, God forbid, we take a hit. Jonathan Marshall stepping up. Huff. I go back because John and I used to play a ton of Madden, and I'd be all about when we do fantasy drafts. I would want the most expensive player, and I would have zero depth. But John was like, no, we need to have you should take the cheaper player, and we should have more depth. And this is I feel like John, whether you want to admit it or not, this is right up your alley, because
It is.
a team with superior depth just gets you all nice and rosy, or what you call it, tight in the pants, I think is what you said. So I feel like this is exactly what you've been dreaming of for a long time.
It was one of the big topics. When I spoke independently, I talked a lot about the need for our pass rush to really turn the corner. It's been a very long time. Names just real quick. You could just name players that you were really excited about. Whatever you want. Float your boat.
Yeah. Sheldon Rankins.
Yep.
I thought on the second play of the game, I don't know who that left guard was for the Giants, but he might even be rethinking his whole career choice. The Bryce Huff. I mean, he's going to be a specialist on passing downs. I think JFM takes that spot. Bryce Huff comes in on specialty downs there. More. And Hamilcar Rashad. I didn't know he played really fast, which was good, but I didn't know he looked like that. That's a guy that you want, hopping off the bus, the first guy off the bus, because he looks the part through and through. And Lawson, Quinnen, Foley, Fadukasi, I think he's kind of a forgotten guy that's going to really help stop the run. And Vinny Curry's coming back, Sheldon Rankins and Quinnen will go back and forth. Those guys, they can't play 100% of the snaps. It's just the nature of the position. And the depth is incredible, and they're going to be a top 10 unit, no doubt about it, in my mind this season.
Yeah, it's one of the most confident things that are one of the aspects on the team that I feel most confident in. So I don't want to talk too much on it because you guys hit the nail pretty strong there. I do want to get some of these comments, guys. And again, thanks for waiting so long.
I feel like we neglected the chat. It's Is the question on the screen? Can you repeat it? I'm sorry.
Oh, it is on the screen. I just took it off, though. So he said, who does JD use to fill the hole left by Alex Lewis, Cameron Clark?
Freeney's filling in for Vera Tucker, right? So, I'm trying to think who's that leave us. Why am I drawing blanks? I'm drawing a blank right now.
I mean, we don't have a lot of depth right now.
Probably Greg, right?
Greg is a starter. Greg's a starter right now.
He's a starter right now. Mm-hmm. So then would it be Freeney? Would it be Freeney filling in, I guess, at that point?
So Feeney is a backup.
Sorry.
We've got Hodge, Tristan Hodge from BYU, and John Amarello. Thank you for submitting his name. That is definitely one of the names for sure.
We have what's his name? Corey Levin? Is that
might be?
Did we add someone?
Yeah. So we did just picked somebody up off of somebody's practice squad, I believe. It was the Panthers or who was it?
David Moore.
Yes, David Moore, and apparently he was one of the higher rated undrafted free agents at the guard position. Yes. So that may end up working out in the Jets' favor. Now, having an undrafted free agent, no matter how much upside there is, that's still pretty sketchy in my mind.
Yeah.
But having said that, and I kind of talked to Chad about this on our Sunday show, there aren't teams out there that have 10 really solid offensive linemen. So if injuries happen on the offensive line, it's pretty much a problem for every NFL team. And so I'm not trying to excuse it because we do need to have better depth, but that's what JD's kind of working on is a baseball team has a developmental team, like a developmental player. And we need that. We need a farming system, and we just haven't gotten to that point. So in my mind, there isn't a good fill right now? That's the answer
But
to the question.
But between Hodge, David Moore, and that guy Corey Levin, who I don't know pretty much anything about, is there one that you favor more than the others?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. They're none of them are proven, and none of them are solid backup offensive linemen. It's just a fact. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I think it's a rough situation if we lose a couple of starters, and I believe it was Stephen Engel earlier in the chat. He said it. If we lose some starters, we could be effed on the offensive line, and I think that's a fair take. If Becton goes down, if Elijah Vera-Tucker goes down, and even you could even make the case if Connor McGovern goes down, who the hell's the star? Who's the backup center?
Right.
Like
now, if you're Mike LaFleur, you obviously it changes your entire playbook for the rest of the season, right? You would do a lot of check downs. Is that I'm just like, what is our contingency planning if that does happen, knowing that we don't have a talent that we really feel that we have trust in? I mean, James, I'm kind of looking to you based on your breakdown of the play calling, but if you were Mike LaFleur, do you change your play style at that point?
Yeah, I mean, probably the overall scheme wouldn't change, but you'd probably start to favor certain things and probably, quicker passes. The run game is the run game at that point in time. You're either going to run the ball inside zone, outside zone, power, things like that. But yeah, the ball would have to be out a lot quicker from Zach's hands altogether because, you guys are right. The O-line depth across the league is tough. If you think about it, like perspective-wise, I saw a tweet the other day that during walkthroughs, the Giants actually had their assistant offensive line coach filling in to play left guard.
Wow.
And so it's across the league, it's tough to find really good offensive linemen. I mean, you think about it, you need 5 of them to at least play. And then, to have all 5, like the Dallas Cowboys offensive line when Zeke and Dak were rookies, like that doesn't really happen often. And, you try to build that, but it's difficult. And for the Jets, I mean, David Moore, I thought it was a good pickup. Do you start singing the praises and, going through that whole thing of, now we have a starter all of a sudden? No, of course not. He did win the Senior Bowl's top offensive lineman award for the week. And so, someone saw something in him that week, at least that showed potential. But I think the overall theme here is Elijah Vera-Tucker needs to get healthy and Becton and those guys need to stay healthy. I mean, at least, Fant is a good option to have in terms of if something happens to Morgan Moses or Becton. I do feel comfortable with George Fant going in there. Is he a Pro Bowl player? No, but at least I feel comfortable. But you're right, John. Like if Connor McGovern goes down, I honestly can't tell you who would play center.
Yeah, and again, it's a league-wide thing. Like I think the Jets fans are a little bit critical and like in expecting that we should have really good depth at all 5 spots, and it's just very impossible. It's just hard to do. All right, we will move on. That was good discussion. We will go to the quarterbacks for a little bit. Takeaways from mostly the preseason game. I just want to hear what you guys saw. Let me check the chat here for 1 second. Stephen Engel says, need Quinnen on the D-line to make it really work. That's from our defensive line discussion, definitely. Thomas Hewitt throws a good reminder in there. And again, I'm with you on this one completely. I still believe that this is an evaluation year. 2021 is an evaluative year. They're trying to assess things. And again, 22 is stacked heavily, and it's not a mistake. Joe Douglas probably could have, requested a 2nd-round pick from the past draft, from 21 draft, from the Panthers. But he said, you know what, let me toss a little bit of coin moving forward. And he's trying to build up stuff so that in the future he can do more to address the needs of the team. And Thomas Hewitt throws in there. We got 2 number 1 draft picks next year. We also have 2 2nd-round picks to get some more hog mollies. I think it's very likely that we draft another offensive lineman, especially early in the draft. No doubt about it. All right, cool. And Craig Collins just said, I think Levens is the backup center. So there you go. And he's very knowledgeable. All right, cool. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. If you don't mind, hit that like button. And if you're new watching it, please consider subscribing. White, we'll talk a little bit about. Just Zach Wilson. I do want to hear from you, James. What were your initial takeaways? And then, Mike, I'll get you. I liked what I saw.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic debut, right? I mean, the kid, he looks the part too, right? Like I think it's a small detail. I know, like all quarterbacks have different styles. You know, Peyton Manning's a pretty vanilla looking guy. Tom Brady, they're all kind of, by the book of what you think a quarterback kind of should look like, tall and, pretty plain. But then Zach walks out there and he's got the visor on and he's got the headband coming out of the back of the helmet. Yeah, he's got the arm sleeves. He's got the whole thing going on. And I think it helps, him probably be comfortable, feel cool, feel confident. And that's exactly how he looked. And it's exactly the way he played. He was calm in his drops. He was making quick decisions. He was getting the ball out of his hands, and that ball just flies out. I mean, you can tell it's pretty noticeable even on TV, and sometimes it's hard to tell there, but you can see once that ball comes out, it just comes out. His ball placement was great. The Corey Davis out to the sideline, keeps coming to mind. The Keelan Cole dig really across the field there. And then, John, I'll let you hit on the 3rd and 14 play because I think on Twitter I saw you said that was your favorite play.
And thank you so much.
to me, it was great because that was like the knock, right? I mean, listen, it's vanilla defense out there preseason. I get it, but not everyone starts on the same playing field. You're talking about a 22-year-old kid, right? So if he would have had trouble against the vanilla zones and the man coverage and he looked frantic back there, yeah, we would have to worry. But I think we can still, sing his praises a little bit for being comfortable out there because of the weight that's really kind of on his shoulders at that age, the responsibility that he has. And one of the questions about him was, at BYU, there was nobody around him. He was, sitting in that pocket clean. He could do whatever he wanted. What's going to happen when he faces some real pressure? And, he made a really good decision on that 3rd and 14. Nobody was open down the field. The pressure came. He dropped it down 7 yards. And we always talk about it. Just get the ball in the hands of somebody. Yes. You don't know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden, that 3rd and 14 turns into 4th and 1.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be a throw down the middle to try to get 18 yards on a 3rd and 14. It doesn't always have to be like that. So I just thought it was a great debut from Zach. Things are gonna happen to him along the way, but to start off, he got an A in my book. So
Mike, I am gonna let you go next, but I do want to hit on that play because I'm not letting you talk about that one. No. And I didn't even think about that when we started this topic. I should have just started. So. It was a rare sight to see not Darnold to step up in the pocket because of course he did it throughout the time. It was the fact that he got popped and it was pretty much right in his face. It wasn't an illegal hit. I'm not saying that. He got hit though, and he was open. Like the check down was open, and James, you said it perfectly. Like just took what was there. And again, sometimes you can see guys make plays after the catch, even though they're behind the sticks. They can get to the line in some circumstances. A broken tackle, a missed tackle, whatever it may be. And just to see him make that decision with pressure from the edge rush and to get hit and deliver the ball right on point, that's great. That was my favorite play, and it clearly shows that he's not a wuss. Like we don't, and I know I'm not trying to say that to be funny. Like quarterbacks take hits.
Yeah.
They protect quarterbacks. They do, but they can also, if they step up in the pocket, they can get crushed. And so not being timid and taking that hit and delivering the football, even just in a preseason game, very impressed. I was very, very impressed by that play. Mike, you can go ahead. Anything that you noticed and anything you felt good about.
I mean, it's something. I mean, some of the New York media, I don't know if you guys saw, were, I guess, room temperature on it. They felt like they wanted him to throw like a 100-yard or 50-yard bomb or something like that. And that's the New York media, and I actually think it's probably good because it's good to just get that out of the way now, get his tolerance built up for how the New York media sets unrealistic expectations, I think, or wants to play out the devil's advocate, I guess you could say, because Jet fans love to, I think there's a fan therapy. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. And the Jet fan who plays in fan therapy is just like, I love the Jets and I hate the Jets. And that's a lot of Jet fans. Like, we have like a lot of love, but yet we love to hate on ourselves at the same time. I thought he did great. I mean, what was it, 6 for 9 for 63 yards? I mean, that's the kind of consistency and the type of control. I don't know if that's the right term, but the type of control we've been missing at the quarterback position. We have a lot of volatility. We've had a lot of ups where quarterbacks either in games and or series can be great, and then they come back out on the field, or they come back in the next game and they're completely trash. I think we've been going from quarterback to quarterback that's just so 180 degrees from game to game or from half to half. And I just think that I'm not trying to counter chickens before they hatch, but I do think both of you hit on the same thing, which is he's got great maturity in terms of how he thinks and how he makes decisions on the field for his age, and especially, for as young as he looks, which is unbelievable. Every time I see him, I feel like he's like 15 years old. As far as ball speed, I think I got a better appreciation. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to cap. I didn't really follow BYU sports. And I really didn't start following Zach Wilson until, we got into the off season. So, I would say I definitely got a better appreciation for his arm talent. And if you want proof, if anyone's like me and you really want to see it, compare his highlights to Mac Jones and look at how those balls travel differently. Mac Jones' ball looks like it's fluttering. I mean, even Cam put him to shame when it comes to arm power. If you look at the way Cam throws versus Mac Jones, take a look at how Mac Jones' ball flows between Zach Wilson and his. It's night and day difference. And I love the spiral that he puts on that ball. I mean, that is one of the tightest spirals. I mean, I think the only quarterback that it reminds me of is Mike Vick. Mike Vick used to put a crazy spiral on a football, and I think Zach's is better, to be honest with you. And I love those first few passes, the timing, the ball placement. I was all about that. But I'm also excited. It's good to see our backup quarterback position seems like it's ironed out as well with Mike White. I thought Mike White did a solid job, and I don't mean to beat you guys to the punch by going to the other quarterback position, but I thought it was great to see both quarterbacks, and I also thought it was good for Michael Floor, because I think it wasn't so much played out. I think there was a lot of pressure on Michael Floor coming in, especially on the eve of Adam Gase, and was he going to develop? Is he going to use this talent? And I thought as much as the quarterbacks did great, I think the offense in general made Michael Floor proud, and it's just good to know that we have a foundation here to build off of. So I think the quarterbacks did a good job emphasizing that.
Well, you better watch these takes with this Mac Jones ball fluttering, because I haven't seen that. And Grant Root said, interesting. I didn't notice Jones's ball not being tight. I'll have to watch for that this weekend. He's going to do his homework.
I'm not saying it wasn't tight. I'm just saying
ball
travel from arm to arm or from arm to catch is much different than.
Yeah. I hear you. No, definitely. The throwing motion and the way that it comes off. Definitely. We don't have to beat a dead horse here. I do agree with you, Mike. Mike White looked very competent and did a lot. Like, he was facing more pressure than Zach, I felt like, and was doing different things, having to move. And I thought he was quite impressive. Play action game looked pretty strong. What did you think from Mike White, it seems pretty obvious at this point. It could change, but pretty obvious he's going to probably be the backup.
Yeah, I thought he looked pretty comfortable too. I mean, there was plays here and there. I think he had a fumble. There was definitely a lot more pressure on him, but he played a lot more. He threw 19 passes, but completed 13 of them. Him too, kind of going back to I mean, this one was more of a design play, but with the 3rd and 18 conversion with Mims, just get it out, move the chains, move the sticks. Obviously, Denzel Mims had a lot to do with that, but I thought he looked pretty comfortable as well. Someone who, Saleh kind of said it. We're kind of been clamoring for them to get a veteran quarterback in there behind Zach, and they've said that they felt more comfortable with, hey, if we can mold the guy behind Zach as well, he's going to know our system, more, the ins and outs more than if we just grab someone from another team and bring him in and have to teach him it all over again. And we only have 2 weeks until, Carolina or the season or whenever he would have to play. So that plan seems to be kind of, it worked out at least on Saturday. Now, if you told me tomorrow that Mike White was our starting quarterback, that's a different question.
Yes.
But for backup purposes, I thought on Saturday he looked like, he was comfortable enough to where he could stay in that number 2 spot for right now.
Yeah, I'm fine with him being 2. I think he was just fine. We won't. I did put Morgan on there, but we won't mention him tonight. We did start the show a little late. Anyways, let me get to some chat. This is pretty funny. Mike Vern said, "Let's hire Mike and Dan Feeney to smash beers in their heads in the stands to replace Fireman
Now
Ed."
we're talking. I need a side gig.
Oh, that's good. All right. Hot take from Frankie. By the way, Frankie, thanks for coming, buddy. He said, hot take prediction, Patriots use a lot of 12 personnel, even though all of their tight ends are hurt. It does seem that throughout the time of the Patriots run, Belichick seems to like using multiple tight end sets. And I think that's what the 12 personnel is, right? It's 2 tight ends? Yep.
2 tight ends, 1 running back,
Yeah, and now that they don't have, Tom Brady, I think that's definitely within game. Cam Newton seemed to favor Greg Olsen, so I think he would benefit from an offense with tight ends. So, yeah, no, I don't even think that's a hot take. I think you're just accurate. You're on point. Let's see. Mike, yeah, I got that one. I just wanted to see if I had any chat with questions. Yeah, put some questions in the comments, guys, and I would love to put them up there. All right, we'll move on. We're going to go to linebackers and secondary. We talked a little bit about it. You tweeted about this, James. I saw your tweet about it. Didn't comment on it. Kind of like how you were stalking my tweet as well. You talked about C.J. Mosley, so I'm going to allow you to just talk about him for a few seconds. He's only one of the parts of the topic here, but tell me a little bit about what you saw from C.J. because you were excited about what you saw.
Yeah, I think he's going to be – it doesn't seem like he's going to skip a beat, and I get it. I know it's preseason week 1, but even pre-snap, like, I kept watching the broadcast version because it's really the only thing I have, but you see him. He's talking to Marcus May behind him. He's lining up Jared Davis where he needs to be, and we're in the preseason week 1, and it's kind of the point that I really had all preseason was – you can take him off the field physically for 2 years, but that brain is always going to work. It's always going to know where he needs to be, what he needs to do. After seeing the first episode of One Jets Drive, where he basically locked himself in this basement without a ceiling, it was basically like a broken down basement. That's a guy who is on a mission. He's putting himself mentally in a different spot to where he knows he needs to be to play football again. And the first play of the game, he got his hands right in the throwing lane. He made a couple tackles. He's just a guy where he's always going to be around the ball. And if he's not, he's going to be putting someone else in a position to be successful as well, lining them up, making sure everyone's in the spot that they need to be in. So I am super excited about C.J. Mosley. We talked about the defensive line, and I think having a guy like that directly behind them is going to make a huge, huge difference in this whole defense.
Yep. And I will stand by what I said earlier in the offseason. I was concerned about Mosley, just thinking he would need more time than it looks like he's good to go, though. I think you're right. It's still early. We'll see how he does, come, September, October. But it's looking pretty strong right now. Mike, any takeaways from linebackers, secondary players that you saw? I have a couple in mind.
Yeah, I just want to comment on C.J. Mosley, which is his natural leadership skills. I think is so awesome to see. Just in terms of how he's just gravitating to that role, even though he's been out for so long. I just saw that's one of the big things that we need because of how young a team we are, especially that linebacker crew. So I think James, all the points that James said, I think just it makes sense. As I go back and I think of watching the game. And some of the plays I saw, it definitely rings home for me, and just appreciating them because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, some of the things I looked over, I was like, yeah, CJ looks like he's in good shape. It looks like he's obviously up to speed with the playbook, but some of those intangibles that James mentioned kind of went right over my head. So as I think back to it, it actually makes me want to go watch the game again and watch those snaps because I do think James hit it on the head. As far as the secondary is concerned, I was really pleased because I think we're all on the same page. It's the one area where we don't have a lot of maturity and we don't necessarily know who's gonna be a playmaker and who's not. At least obviously there's a lot of talent we added through the draft. I do think that we do have some good anchors there with Bryce Hall. I think there's some up and coming talent where I was nervous, like Brendan Nichols, which James mentioned in the first part of the stream. I think he had some really good upsides. I also think that there's one. Is it Pinnock?
Pinnock, yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Pinnock.
Jason
Yeah.
Pinnock.
I thought Jason showed some signs of some good coverage. I don't think he got burned at all. I could be wrong about that, but I thought I just remember seeing him at certain points make some good. Just be with a secondary, if it's quiet on that side of the field, then you're doing a good job, right? So
right.
I just thought that those were the things that I was looking for out of the secondary. And the final score of the game, it's preseason. I'm not saying put any stock in it, but and I also will take note that a lot of the offensive tools for Giants didn't play. But for that being the weakest part of our team, and we still did pretty solid there. It was a pretty quiet night for them. I think that's something not to look over. I think it's worth appreciating. How that happens with Green Bay, or and I haven't read into any of the Green Bay scrimmage, so I need to get up to speed with that. But I'm not saying lightning strikes twice with that stability in the defensive backs, but I'm just gonna say if that's our weakest part of our team, I'm feeling a lot better after week one preseason than I was pre first game. So yeah,
there you go. There's a lot of really good comments. I was gonna comment next, but everybody loaded it up, so I am going to go to those. Vern said, almost time to trade out Foley or Shepard for O-line depth if Marshall continues to flash. I don't think that would work out. I don't think teams are looking for defensive tackles right now, especially like the run stuffing type. It's not a terrible idea. I'm not going to hate on your idea. It is a strength of the team, and we could potentially, improve another weakness. I'm just not sure if teams are going to be clamoring for these two guys. Jeremy Crebet's referring to One Jets Drive. He says, how awesome are the relationships that developing amongst the players? Hopefully it means something in chemistry. He's probably referring to Keelan Allen, who is just hilarious, by the way. He was really funny in the episode. And he seems kind of like the receiver that it kind of keeps everybody together, like light. And I would think that, some people might scoff at this, but, having somebody who's just, fun and, keeps things light and you're not really, stressing out, I think that's important on a team. I feel like having somebody like that to keep you balanced is good. And he was really great. And he's basically taken on a mentor role for Denzel Mims. You'll see that in the episode if you haven't watched it. So, yeah, lots of really good relationships forming on the team between veterans and young players. Let's see. Vern, I think. He's referring to the trade. He says they have 1 year left on their contracts. You aren't going to get much, if anything, for them, in my opinion. That's kind of why I said that. I just don't think people are really interested in those two guys. Hader Ali, he says, did you all hear or see the Aaron Rodgers comments regarding Zach? Saying, and he's paraphrasing, Zach is far ahead of where he was at his age. Also, the Jets are back. I did not see that.
Yeah, that was a I saw that at the bottom of that quote. It said if you're still reading this, I'm only joking.
Oh.
I think it was one of the guys at Jets X Factor, like NYJ Matt, one of those. They always post
Oh,
funny stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
but he did say nice stuff. It just wasn't to that extreme.
I got you. Yeah. Yeah, those guys, they are very funny, but they do trick a lot of people into thinking that they're actually posting anything serious.
Yeah.
NYJ Matt there was one where he posted where he was like keeping track of statistics during like a regular practice. It wasn't even a scrimmage. He's like, guys, the percentages were this. And everybody's like, what the F? And like, he's just like, none of it's real. Very funny. Jason Rhodes said, and Jason's always great. He's a spark plug for this channel. He said, Mosley needs to shut the F up 30 minutes into 2 years. Don't tell me, show me. And he was probably referring to when CJ said, you know, if you sleep on the Jets, you're going to get your ass blown out. I don't hate your comment, Jason Rhodes. I think that it's exciting to hear somebody with that much fire, clearly, and confidence. But I kind of get what he's saying. You know, it is preseason, week 1. Now we're into week 2. And he's not really yapping necessarily, but yeah, it's like a bold statement a little bit. But hey, man, if you got the confidence, go ahead. Talk it up and then just back it up. He's got to back it up. No worries, Jason. Let's see. Grant Rude said, I think Shep's getting cut anyway. Fatukasi is our best run stopper. Doubt he gets traded. Gitmo Bob said that Hamza and Sherwood looked solid with good tackling and being around the ball. I was very happy to see Jamian getting around the ball too. Not to say that I was down on him, but I just kind of wanted to see him in coverage, and he looked pretty good. Yeah. And Hamza is my favorite. I think he could be one of the best defensive players that we drafted in this draft. Braden, he said, thoughts on why Corey Ballantyne had 3 great pass breakups versus the Giants, but then gave up on the 4th touchdown. Gave up on the 4th for a touchdown. Is this an example of how important our pass rush is to help our cornerbacks succeed? 100% it is, because he was actually covering the guy. The receiver broke off of his route because there was time and because the quarterback got out of the pocket. So absolutely, there's no doubt. And I think we're caught up. So we will move on. Anything else you guys want to say? I think Hamza and Jamian look good. Yep. Young secondary needs help, but they looked pretty good too. I don't really have much else I want to add on top of that. So.
Little shout out to Bryce Hall for all the negativity that we saw today with Green Bay. The Jets put out a video. I think it was right before we got on tonight, and there was a couple reps against Devontae Adams where Bryce Hall had some really nice coverage one-on-one. So he seemed like the brightest point of Green Bay practice, and he played well on Saturday against the Giants. So he's trending up to, he's going to be our cornerback 1 just because of the situation, but he may end up turning out to actually be one of those guys. So,
yeah, and he did okay against Keenan Allen. I mean, I don't think he didn't lock him down when he played him, but he did good in that LA Chargers game last year. So
he did.
No doubt. Okay. Good stuff. We are moving on. This will be our last position group, and then we'll kind of look forward to Green Bay week 2, what we want to see, what we hope we don't see, that kind of stuff. And then we will do one voicemail to end the show. Running backs and tight ends. We talked about tight ends, how they were pretty bad. So we don't have to talk too much about the tight ends. I think Yeboah put himself even more so on the bubble. I think he was already kind of there because Wesco, like you said, James, I think he's a lock. He looks like he's the fullback on this team, and we are clearly going to be using fullback in our offense. So no need to talk about the tight ends. I think that it's a weakness, clearly. Mike, I'll let you go first. Anything that you noticed from running back? Go ahead.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens over the cuts when it comes to what would we do with the running game with the committee. I mean, first of all, it's Ty Johnson and Michael Carter show, and then P. Ryan comes out and scores a touchdown, and so all three of those to me have so much more of an upside. I know I'm going to get blasted because I'm not a Tevin Coleman fan, but I love the trio and Ty Johnson, Michael Carter, and I mean I don't know. I think P. Ryan. I mean, and I ragged on him. What was it, 2 streams ago, John? When I said he looked like
A
he was
dude.
like yeah, just a dude. He was like a marathon runner, and there he goes scoring a touchdown. I think it's going to be really hard to see what they do there. I was very happy with the impact that the ground game had in that game. I think it did a lot. I think even for a preseason game, it does a lot. It shows where we're weak, particularly on the right side, like on the right side of the line, like James said. I think it also shows that coaching staff is going to have a hard time. I think obviously what happens over the corresponding games is going to be interesting. I still think Ty Johnson probably had the biggest upside. I think he had a lot of explosiveness. I was really happy to see what Ty did. I think he had the most yards as well, if I remember correctly. Not to say that is a big factor for a preseason game. I love the explosiveness of Michael Carter. I'm still a huge Michael Carter fan, and after game one, I think that just amplified that for me. P. Ryan obviously showed signs of burst. I don't know, maybe because I only watched the game once and I blew through it pretty quickly on Game Pass. Did Tevin have any snaps? I don't know if I recall.
He was so I didn't know this until after the game, but he was apparently excused from playing. Like he had like a personal reason. So it wasn't injury related. It wasn't, anything related to playing time. It was just he was not there.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's we knew it was going to be a running back by committee. That's how we're not going to have an every down back, and I'm totally good with that. I think it was 86 yards in the game. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how they make the decisions on who. I think they're only going to keep 3 backs. Like I'm still standing by that. I could be. I mean, John sounds like I could be wrong. I mean, they could keep a 4th back, but I don't know. I really like the trio and Ty Johnson, Michael Carter, and P. Ryan. I would wish that would be, but that's probably not going to happen. But I was happy with what I saw.
Okay. James, any takeaways from the running backs specifically or the running game?
Yeah. Ty Johnson kind of looks like he's a really nice fit, right? And I feel like we saw this last year, a couple runs with him, I think. And it was kind of a nice change of pace from the Frank Gore just running right up the middle for a gain of 0 or a loss of 2. And it was kind of nice to see him, to see Ty Johnson kind of get on the outside. And he's kind of a good fit to where on those outside zone runs, he's kind of stays horizontal, and then he's got a nice little burst. And I keep going back to this, but we're not asking any of these guys to be Saquon Barkley. We're not asking any of these guys to do something extraordinary. We just need fits within the offense, gain yards to make manageable, second downs, third downs. This way, Zach can just be able to make those quick throws, and it doesn't have to be asking him to do all this kind of, extraordinary stuff on his part either. Let's make his job easier. And so Ty Johnson feels like that guy that could get the job done. I don't want to say play within the rules, but play within the scheme itself. And Ty Johnson feels like a really nice fit there. And P. Ryan was a nice surprise. I mean, he was 12 for 30, but we mentioned he had that loss for 8. I'm not really good at math, but his average turns out to be a whole heck of a lot better than the 2.5 if you take away that 8-yard loss. And then Michael Carter, he had an okay day. I think that's pretty fair to say. He had a nice first down run, but again, he's kind of getting acclimated. He took a nice big hit on one of his runs, but overall, I was pretty happy with that trio there, and they're going to continue to run, and I'm looking at them on Saturday for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm not gonna toot my horn too hard, but I really liked Ty Johnson. I saw a lot of good in him last season, and I do believe that he is a clear great fit for the scheme. I had been saying that I thought they should just keep 3 running backs. That's been my take on it because I feel like you're losing out on other positions that you maybe need more bodies. Mike has somehow disappeared, but that's okay. We'll get him back. I liked what I saw from Ty Johnson. I won't really spend any time on that, and that was pretty obvious. You kind of touched on it a little bit as well with P. Ryan. He had a couple of plays where there was no chance, and he did get tackled a couple of times behind the line of scrimmage. I read that more as a offensive line thing than it is him. If you're keeping 4, it's going to be Coleman, P. Ryan, Michael Carter, and Ty Johnson. But what if you're only keeping 3 because you have to keep a fullback? That's the thing that keeps bugging me. And that's why I keep saying it, because I've been saying it all year. I feel like P. Ryan probably is the odd man out if they're doing that. I'm not saying they are. I just think if they keep 3, how are you possibly keeping P. Ryan over Coleman, who I think clearly is going to have a role? What do you think about that, James?
Would you, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, would you keep 1 less tight end?
I would be willing to, but how many tight ends are you keeping?
Right. I mean, because if you think about it, and I know it's a lot to ask, and but if you have Wesco as a fullback, and you keep 2 tight ends with him being technically the third tight end, and you kind of keep him as that guy who maybe if we need somebody at tight end, we can put him there for blocking situations type of thing. But that's my initial thought, is maybe you cut a tight end, you keep the 4 running backs, you have Wesco as the fullback / tight end, and then you have Herndon and Croft as the 1 and the 2. And I mean, listen, we're going to be looking for a new tight end pretty soon. So that's why I'm kind of picking on them, because I'm getting ready to start my college football evaluations, and I'm going to find a tight end that I really like, because we're going to be looking to find one come draft time with those 4 picks that we have in the first 2 rounds.
I agree with you completely that tight end should be a 1st or a 2nd round pick. It's that big of a hole. No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I'll throw one name out there, and it's no secret, but the tight end for Texas A&M, Jalen, I think you pronounce his name Wiedenmeyer. He's going to be a guy that's probably going to be worthy of a 1st round pick at the tight end spot. So just throwing that out there in case anyone wants to take a look at him. Super athletic, big guy, strong guy, fast. Yeah, right. He's not Kyle Pitts, but he's going to be a threat in the passing game at this next level. So he's a guy that, if you guys want to take a look at, pretty interesting.
And I feel like if that's the kind of why 21 is such an evaluation year, because if we can see the glimpses that we need to from Zach, and if we see the glimpses from Becton, Vera Tucker, Elijah Moore, I am totally down for throwing a 1st rounder at a position that normally wouldn't be one of the top 5 positions that you would want to be elite. Like, I think building around Wilson it includes running back, tight end, more offensive linemen. And if they want to spend a 1st round on a tight end or a 2nd rounder on a tight end, I say go for it. I could care less. Doesn't bother me at all. The Chiefs have continuously, and I've said it a lot, the Chiefs just keep adding to their offense. They've been doing it every single season. And so we should continue to do that too. I have no problem with copycatting. Just keep adding pieces and monsters to the offense, because that's what we've been doing the last 2 years. Oh, yes, Jason Rhodes, I got your voicemail. Don't you worry. I'm going to play it at the end because I forgot to play it at the beginning. There were some technical issues, and I was a friggin' mess at the beginning of the show. Let's just be honest. Let's see. Gonna go to my chat here. So Vervain did say earlier they're going to keep 4, and they will cut Josh Adams. And I think that, Green Beans mentioned the same thing that you said, James, like keeping maybe only 2 tight ends and then having Wesco as the flex that could potentially be a 3rd tight end or a backup 2nd tight end. And I think that could work. Definitely workable. All right, sweet. We are into our last little bit here, and it's just looking ahead. For anybody that's watching this right now, I will be live streaming on Saturday for the game. I'll do it just like I did this past weekend. Would love to have you guys in there with me, reacting to the game live. I put it on my tablet and I watch it and I just talk about what I see, and then we go to the next play and it's the same thing over and over again. It was a lot of fun though on Saturday, so please consider joining me for that, and we'll have a blast. Mike, I'll go to you because this will pretty much wrap up the show before we do Jason's voicemail. What do you want to see now that we have seen them in week 1? It's the first time we've seen the team in a real live game. What are you hoping to see? Improvements? Players that didn't really show up? What are you looking for in week 2 of preseason?
I mean, obviously improvement on the areas that we thought were weak. Obviously tight end play. I'd like to see consistency more than anything, particularly in the defensive backs, and definitely in the offensive line. Although the offensive line being in the state that it is, obviously I think it'd be best for all of us to set expectations for both of those groups or those units, that there will continue to be volatility as the team progresses towards the regular season. But I think it's still on. I think Chad said it best at the beginning of the stream that you did with him on Sunday. It was, you asked him, how big of a deal is the win for you in preseason? And Chad's answer was, the win doesn't matter. It's all about personal, individual progression and then team cohesion as it unifies around the coaching staff and the play calls. And I think he hit it right on the head. So I think with that becomes consistency, cohesion, and how particularly the lines play on both sides of the ball. And then really a lot of focus on the tight end play, because I do think that those tight ends are a big part of our playbook and are a big part of Zach's ability to not have to force things into tight situations. Of course, the check down is always going to be a preferred option. But, there's times where it's out. I mean, we see it from the top quarterbacks all the time. They use those tight ends in sticky situations. And if we don't have one, I do worry about that. So tight end play, defensive backs, consistency, and then just progress. I think that's probably the best way I can sum it. That's kind of a cop-out because that's obviously what every team looks for. But I think progress on the individual front and progress on how both sides of the ball play, I think there are obviously two things that you strive for. And of course, I think it's also interesting that when cuts really start to happen on how the team reacts to that, but that's not really something you hope for in week 2. It's just something I keep an eye on as we get forward. So I don't know. I can feel like I'm preaching the same things we've already talked about, but those are the things that come to the top of my head.
All right, cool. James, things you're looking for week 2, improvements, players to step up who maybe, whatever. Go for it. I got a couple of things on my mind too. So
yeah, I got one very specific thing. And that one very specific thing is I want to see Denzel Mims get a shot downfield, a contested catch type of situation for like 35 to 40 yards. That's what I want to see on Saturday from Denzel Mims. He deserves it. I'm sorry, but he does not belong playing against some of the guys that he was playing against on Saturday. He's better than those guys. That to me is just the fact of the matter. Whether or not you think that 19 or 20 yard gain on the screen pass was because the Giants sucked at tackling in that moment, part of that is true, yes. But the other part of it is he's just superior athletically to some of those guys that were on the field at the same time as him. And I'm kind of looking for him to be challenged that next step. And that next step is let's get him on the field with Green Bay's, whether or not their starters play or maybe some of their higher rated players at the beginning of the game. And let's give him a shot downfield, a contested catch type of situation. He clearly played. I thought he played with some fire on Saturday. It felt like he was playing like a guy who has heard all the noise that everybody's been talking about. Right. And he finally was like, you know what? I can play ball. Just put me out here. Watch me do what I do, right? And so I think he deserves that chance to get that contested catch type of situation and start to lessen the noise a little bit, because he lessened it a little bit on Saturday, but now he needs to, really separate himself. And I think if you give him the chance, he's going to do it. And so there's my rant for Saturday. Now I'm not going to get a Denzel Mims catch, so that's just how it is. But yeah, other than that, I think it's maybe a consistency factor. Like we talked about, like how many young guys played well on Saturday. I feel like the list is almost endless, right? And some of these guys were not even premium picks, if they were even picked at all. The Bryce Huff, the Jonathan Marshall, the Hamilcar Rashad, the Jamian Sherwoods, the Hamza Najaldines, the Brandon Eccles. These guys all had really great nights. And shout out to Joe Douglas and his staff. Because Hamza and Jamian, neither of them were linebackers. So what they did was they evaluated guys who they think they were able to switch to that linebacker spot, whether they play Mike, which they had Jamian playing a little bit. Hamza's going to be playing the weak side linebacker, kind of interchangeable parts. They saw athletic guys that A, are physical, and then B, have some range in pass coverage. And they were like, hey, we can take a flyer on these guys and try to convert them to a linebacker. And for right now, it looks like that bet is going to pay off at some point immediately and probably in the future. So A+ for Joe Douglas and his staff there. And I'd just like to obviously see it again. So I'd look for Denzel Mims and then consistency from some of these young guys and maybe hopefully showing up again on Saturday.
Yeah, so I was like dancing over here, ready to talk while you were talking. I really have to restrain myself sometimes. It doesn't look like it on the screen, but I'm like, internally, I'm dying. So we talked on Sunday night for our post-game show for the preseason game, and I thought that it wasn't only just awesome to see that for Denzel Mims, because I feel like everybody here is rooting for him. Like, there aren't really a ton of Jets fans are like, he stinks, he needs to go. Right. And everybody in the chat's backing him up, talking about how he was even playing on special teams. He asked to play on special teams, and he was like doing a really good job. And that's not really something I think of with Denzel, like being a special teamer, but he certainly wanted it, and he showed that he wanted it. And like I said, it's not only good for him and good for us to see him do that, but what kind of message can Robert Saleh now send to the team because of this? And James, you're saying it just right. I don't care what the plan was for Denzel Mims going into week 2. Put him in earlier than you may have intended. Give him a shot down the field earlier than you intended. I don't care. Show the players on this team that with hard work and with a willingness to do a job that maybe you weren't thinking you were going to do, that's a strong message that you can send to some young players and to the whole damn team. Give him an opportunity that maybe you weren't planning to give him, because that's, again, the whole team can benefit from that, I feel like. And it encourages people to do better than maybe they had been doing, or to shake, being benched or whatever it may be, to overcome adversity. Like, that's what this is all about. And Denzel Mims is showing that. Jason Rhodes said Mims is fire. Team first. Mims needs to keep showing the fire. I mean, he's got a fire, guys. Like, just because it's not always like apparent, it doesn't mean that it's not burning. I kind of laughed at it. Like, I thought about a player named Ed McCaffrey for the Broncos. Do you remember him, Mike and James?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So NFL Films made the mistake one time to mic him up. And I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it turned into like a folly because he didn't talk during the game. And all he was doing was like blowing his nose, like his nostrils. just like kept flicking his nose and pushing air out of it. And that was all he did. It's just like some people.
They forgot to tell him.
Right. It wasn't like, he wasn't like, guys, I don't talk. He just let them see I'm not a talker. Right. Some people operate differently. Don't you can't always want somebody to do something that you think is correct or that you think the way they should be. It's just people operate differently. So anyway, introverted, maybe a little bit. You see him talking in One Jets Drive. He's just a quieter dude, I feel like. And there's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, done with the Denzel Mims rant. I would like to see, and I put this on Twitter, I actually wouldn't mind seeing Zach Wilson throw a pick. I feel like there's some things that he needs to understand after throwing a pick what to do. Because it's not...
I disagree with you.
Okay, well, you can tell me after why. I'm done. When I'm done talking.
Yeah, okay.
him throw. I'm not saying like he needs to go out there and throw it willingly. I'm saying it wouldn't be a bad thing if he threw a pick because it's a learning opportunity. He can go to his head offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur, and they can start having that conversation mid-game because there needs to be good communication there. And they need to have a clear plan of, okay, here's what you didn't see, and this is why you made the mistake. And I feel like those are coachable moments that can't necessarily, well, they can happen in practice, but it's like you can't experience that also in a game all the time. And I think it's good for him to feel that pressure on the sideline to figure it out mid-game. And so that's something I would not look forward to, but I think it would be good. It's a learnable moment. Why do you disagree with me though? Piece of shit.
I just think it's too soon. I'm not necessarily. I don't disagree
too soon.
With the growth moment.
What? Why is it too soon? What are you talking about?
Because I'm worried about what they do with that. I mean, the perception of Zach, unfortunately, in the New York media, it's not like it's totally secure. Not to say it will ever be secure, but I would just say this: as soon as my dad picked up on those reports of the room temperature performance that some of the New York media outlets were reporting, my dad called me and he said, "Oh, looks like we're the same old Jets. It's going to be Darnold 2.0 all over again." And if he throws a pick, I guarantee you, I'm not saying it's anyone in our chat or anyone who follows NYJ Today or anyone that you all follow on Twitter. I'm just saying there is a portion of our fan base that will not let that go. And I just think that there is a timing to it. Not to say that anyone can control it. He might throw 4 picks on Saturday for all we know. And I'm not saying there isn't the growth moment in that. I just would say, I wouldn't say, oh, this is the right timing for it, because I just think that's one thing we're constantly battling right now is
you're overanalyzing this. I'm not saying
I don't think I'm overanalyzing it. It's like that's like the last thing I feel like he needs right now is to have to go against expectations on the day. I mean, he's already doing that. I'm not saying that's not a fact of being a second overall draft pick, but yeah, I think it's just in the setting of how he throws it that really makes or break. If it's a stupid decision, I don't think anything comes from that other than just this, PR work that they would have to battle at that point.
He needs to get used to it because guess what he's going to do in the regular season? Guess what he's going to do in the regular season? He's going to throw a pick. So that's why I say get it over with.
Right, but he might be throwing picks no matter what, right? And then I would just say this. I would just say when the pick happens, the growth moment is undebatable. Like that is a growing. It's like falling down when you're a kid, right? You gotta scratch your leg, your hand to know what pain is. But it's just like I just think that there is a timing to it. If we had the ability to control it, I would probably pick it to happen.
We can't control it. That's the point.
I know, but you put it out there as like I hope it would be good for him to get the pick next week.
I did not say that. I said it wouldn't be a bad thing. I said it wouldn't be a bad thing if he threw a pick. You piece of garbage. Just listen to me.
Oh my God.
I said it wouldn't be a bad thing. I'm not rooting for him to throw a pick.
Put the poll back up. Let me vote. I'm voting right now. You guess who I'm going to vote for?
I'm not rooting for him to throw a pick. I said it wouldn't be a bad thing. That's all I said. Because then you can learn what New York media will do. And he needs to be able to work through that kind of crap. He needs to be able to handle it. And again, if it happens in the regular season, it would be nice if he had already done it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would be nice if he'd already had that experience coming off the field, hearing it post-game, answering questions about it post-game. It's a small thing, but that's something that I kind of think could be beneficial. Let's go to the chat, and then we will move through here and wrap up the show. Zach in his sleep is better than Sam after 3 years. Lots of Jets fans don't believe in teachable. It's perform now or you suck. And that's wrong. That's wrong. I'm okay with him taking his lumps. He's going to take lumps. He's going to have bad games. It's going to happen. Be prepared. Hopefully he throws a pick this year. Or excuse me, if he throws a pick this year, it isn't on the first pass attempt of his career. I knew that was a bad moment for Sammy. Yeah. That was I don't want that either. if it's the regular season, yeah, we'll wait on
Don't sign me up for that.
No, not the first play. That's too much for my heart, let alone his heart. After the green and white scrimmage, the press was saying Zach Wilson is a bust. It's all noise. Yep, that's what I think, and that's why I don't really care if he throws a pick and there's scrutiny. Again, just a learnable moment. I want him to have moments where he can learn. Being really good is good. I'm not going to root against him to be good. I don't mind him having a moment, though, where he can learn something. Zach has been handling the media very well so far. Yes, well-spoken, good pacing when he talks. He's not rushing through answering questions. He's just really, really articulate. So I'm with you. I think he can handle it, no doubt. Let's see. Zach just needs to stop chewing gum during media time. The only flaw. I don't know, man. I don't really care if he's chewing gum or whatever. I hear you, though. Maybe it's annoying to you. Tommy R. says, I don't even read the articles in the paper. That's what I don't click on anything. I tweet about them. I make fun of them for dumb takes, but that's about it. Yeah, I don't really get too worried about. I don't click those articles, though. That's what helps them. That's what pays them. They get those clicks and people will continue to read their garbage. Then they will continue to get paid for doing their jobs. So, all right. Anything you want to end the show on, Mike? It's okay. Don't be mad at me. We just disagreed.
I'm not disagreeing with the teachable moment. What I'm saying is, I'm not going to point them out. There are people in this chat where we said pre-draft, keep Sam. He got a bad rap. He can still contribute to the team. And there is a point in PR on a player's image where even if you believe that they were given a bad rap, even if you believe that the timing of their mistakes wasn't necessarily their fault, they can't come back from that. And I just think I would hate to see the New York media. It sucks. I get really frustrated with the media outlet we have. Obviously, it's such a powerful microphone, but at the same time, it can literally rip players down before we really know what they can do. It just would stink to see Zach battle that, a BYU boy who's already tried to get into his head with the whole mother article with the COVID situation. I can't remember what it was. They're trying right now, gentlemen. They're trying as they speak to get into this kid's head. And whether you believe in Sam or you don't, I didn't think Sam had anything left in the tank to contribute. But there were people in this chat saying they were okay if we kept Sam, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
It's all good. I'm not upset at you. You made your case, and it's fine. Stephen Engel, funny chat. He said, "Can we get Chad on here and ditch the three of you?" It was a rough start to the night. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Excuse me. Like I said, I will be streaming live Saturday. Hope to see you guys in the chat. We will be back Wednesday. We'll be back Sunday. It's going to be a revolving. It's just going to continue all season long. Wednesday, the Sunday games. Sunday night. I apologize. And then it just repeats. So, anyways, hope you all enjoyed. James, any last second things you want to say?
No, I'm all good. I'm ready for Saturday.
Yeah, dude. Ready for the game for sure. All right. That's good. Oh, we got a caller. Oh, wait a minute. We'll take one call and then we'll end the show. It's 10 o'clock, but we'll take it. How's it going, man? How you doing?
Carlos.
Hey, how you doing, man? Go ahead. We're listening to you.
So I just wanted to call in real quick saying that I agree with you, and unfortunately I disagree with Mike about Zach Wilson throwing that pick. The whole reason we want him to throw everything out there is because it's preseason. For him, like he says, he's studying the defense, he's studying the NFL. And what better way to study the NFL than to swing it and to get it over and done with. I'd rather him throw a pick and learn from it in preseason than in the regular season. In the regular season, they will chew him up. And, unfortunately, a lot of NFL Jets fans have to realize this is the NFL. He's going to throw picks. He's going to make mistakes. And that's where he's going to come from, and he's going to grow from it.
Yep. No, I'm with you. I almost feel like I should pay you for this call. You're making it easy for me to beat up on Mike a little bit, so I appreciate it.
He's going to throw picks in the regular season anyway.
Mike is coming from, but as a Jets fan, I'd rather him make his mistakes now in preseason and training camp, training with the Packers and the Eagles, so week one comes, he knows what he could get away with and what he can't get away with. I'd rather people praise him than go after him for throwing that one pick in the regular season. Yep. Even look at this guy, Colin, whatever his name is, now he's switching sides, saying Zach Wilson is good, Zach Wilson could lead a team. It's just a lot of people just flip-flopping, and as Zach Wilson is showing, he could be a franchise quarterback. He has a voice where he's like, I can control the offense.
Yep, I'm with you, man. Dude, thank you so much for calling again. We really do appreciate you always calling every week.
Appreciate that, John. Good show.
Thank you, bro. I'll talk to you again next time. Later, man. Thank you very much to Carlos for calling in. Let me make sure I got my ears in. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can't hear you. Let me take my headphones out. How about now? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you, but now I can hear you. Thank you, Carlos, for calling in. Mike, no rebuttal needed. It's all good. I got your take. We can let this one go. It's really not that serious. It's just.
Yeah, I think it's just a perception thing. That's all it is.
Yep, exactly. I did forget one last thing. I did forget to play Jason Rhodes' voicemail, and then we really will end the show. I do apologize.
Hey, John, just sitting here thinking about a topic for you. One thing we don't have is we had a Revis who was the center of our defense, was a leader. We had a Bart Scott. We had a Jamal Adams. Who is it this year that is the center? Just a thought.
So he's alluding to the fact that Jamal Adams is now a Seahawk, and who is the leader? I think it's pretty obvious, right? Mike, why don't you answer it?
I had a hard time hearing the audio. My apologies.
Say that one more
time hearing Jason through the audio.
He was saying that the team is lacking a leader. We had a Revis, we had a Jamal Adams, we had a Bart Scott. So who would be the leader of this team? I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. I mean, well, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to say the same player. So I guess this is going to either make me or break me. To me, it goes to Zach. I mean, to me, Zach
defensively.
Oh, on defense. Oh, then I gotta say Quentin Williams. I gotta say Quentin Williams is to me who's going to be the dominant figure in the defense, of course.
Leader wise, it's Mosley, man.
Yeah, CJ.
It's gotta be.
I don't know. But
it's
I mean,
definitely CJ.
Okay, all right.
It's no doubt.
I just think a lead by example type of player, and I just think Quentin Williams does that will do that every game. Yeah.
Now Vern Adams was never a leader. Might not have been. He was a rah guy, but yeah, maybe not so much a locker room guy. Who knows though? Anyways, that's gonna be it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Go Jets, and I hope you all have a good night. Word from my daughter. Peace, y'all.